Sunday night at work. Around midnight.
Any reason why they're concerned? Does it smell like something sour, maybe?
Yeah.
The sour smell of death hit officers before they even opened the door. Inside apartment 3B, a half-eaten meal sat rotting on the kitchen counter, bags packed by a child's bed, and a bedroom torn apart like a hurricane had swept through. But 24-year-old Roa Al Danoon was nowhere to be found. October 19, 2016. Lakewood. Police received a call that would unravel one of the most chilling cases of post-separation domestic violence they'd ever seen. Roa, a single mother and Iraqi refugee, hadn't shown up to work at the Aladdin restaurant for 3 straight days. Her co-workers knew something was terribly wrong. When officers arrived at her northeast Lakewood apartment at 3 p.m., they knocked. Repeatedly, no answer. But that smell, sharp like something starting to rot, drifted from under the door. The neighbor hadn't seen her in days.
Have you seen her from your neighbor?
No, not today.
When's the last time you saw her?
And her car was missing from the garage below. Building maintenance unlocked the door, and what officers found inside told a story of interrupted terror. Her bedroom was destroyed, clothes, papers, and belongings scattered everywhere as if someone had torn through in a desperate panic. Yet oddly, in her young son's room, packed bags sat waiting by the bed, as if they'd planned to leave but never got the chance. In the kitchen, a jug of spoiled milk sat next to an untouched glass. A pan of dried-out chicken remained on the stove. Abandoned mid-meal. The scene screamed of lives suddenly, violently disrupted. Roa Al Danoon had come to America in 2014 as a refugee, fleeing the war in Iraq with her husband, Fahad Mohammed Sat. They'd started fresh in California before moving to Cleveland. But by September 2017, their marriage had crumbled. Roa won full custody of their son in the divorce, and that's when the real nightmare began. Her co-workers at the restaurant painted a picture of a woman living in fear. Hamza Bal, a 22-year-old friend from work, was the last person to see her alive on October 16th. His interview with detectives revealed the terrifying reality of Roa's final days. She wanted to check from the little thing by the door if he's there, because sometimes he gets sent, and he was there, Hamza told investigators. Fahad had been stalking his ex-wife, lurking in hallways, watching from shadows despite a court protection order explicitly forbidding any contact. That night, as Hamza prepared to leave Roa's apartment after smoking hookah together, she peered through the peephole. Her worst fears confirmed. Fahad was standing in the hallway, waiting, watching, terrified of causing more drama in their tight-knit Arabic community. Roa told Hamza to slip out the back exit, that it was the last time anyone would see her alive. 3 days later, detectives arrested Fahad at his workplace for violating the protection order. He seemed eerily calm, almost expecting it. Through an Arabic translator, he spun a story that made no sense. Roa had dropped their son off at his house on October 16th, around 11 p.m., claiming she was going to a party in Detroit and would return the next day. But why would a terrified woman willingly leave her child with the man she feared most? The protection order explicitly prohibited Fahad from being around their son. His story was falling apart before investigators even began digging. During a second sweep of Roa's apartment, detectives discovered something crucial they'd missed. The hookah Hamza mentioned was broken. Parts were scattered in the kitchen trash, and the hose was completely missing. When confronted with this evidence, Hamza's story began to crack. "We've been to her apartment. I found the hookah, but I didn't find the hose," the detective pressed. Hamza looked genuinely confused, insisting they'd used it that night. His polygraph test came back clean, but questions remained about the mysterious missing hookah hose and what it might have been used for. The breakthrough came through cell phone data. Fahad's records showed calls to an unknown number right around the time of Roa's disappearance. That number belonged to Amamar Sami, Fahad's friend. Location data placed Amamar's phone directly outside Roa's apartment building that night. When brought in for questioning, Amamar claimed he'd simply met Fahad for cigarettes before dropping him off and going to Walmart alone. But surveillance footage told a different story entirely. Asterisk security cameras at Walmart revealed Amamar's first devastating lie. Not only had he not gone alone, Fahad was right there with him, exiting the passenger side of Amamar's car. The footage showed both men walking directly to the hardware section, where Fahad selected a 6-foot digging shovel. The timing was chilling. Just hours after Roa vanished, her ex-husband was purchasing the exact tool needed to bury a body. When confronted with the video evidence, Amamar claimed memory problems from medication.
I may have forgotten something. Before I sat down with you last time, I told you I have problems and I take medications. I may have forgotten.
But the lie was deliberate, and he was arrested for obstruction of justice. For 6 months, both men sat in county jail while the case grew cold. Then came an unexpected phone call that would crack everything wide open. An inmate's girlfriend contacted police with disturbing news.
Hi, yes, I have information about a missing person.
Okay.
Her name is Roa.
Her boyfriend, Fahad's Arabic-speaking cellmate, had information about Roa's disappearance. The inmate didn't just bring a story. He brought hand-drawn maps, allegedly sketched by Fahad himself, marking exactly where he'd buried Roa's body. According to the cellmate, Fahad had confessed everything during their time together. The story was horrific. Fahad had used a key to enter Roa's apartment on October 16th. He'd crept down the hallway and discovered her in bed with Hamza. Enraged, he'd waited until Hamza left, then returned to confront his ex-wife in a violent rage that ended in murder. On May 15, 2017, FBI agents and local officers gathered at the remote location marked on Fahad's crude map. After hours of searching, an FBI supervisor's shovel struck something just beneath the surface, the corner of a canvas bag. The unmistakable smell of decomposition confirmed their worst fears. They'd found Roa Al Danoon. Faced with the discovery of the body, Fahad finally broke. But his version of events painted himself as the victim. He claimed Roa had willingly returned to his apartment, that they'd reconciled and spent the night together. But in the early morning hours, he said he found her approaching his bed with a knife. "I'm looking at her. She's coming my way. She thinks I'm sleeping, but I'm wide awake and I'm watching her come towards me," he told investigators. He claimed self-defense, saying he'd jumped up, disarmed her, and choked her from behind until she fell unconscious. The truth was far more sinister. Fahad had strangled Roa in cold blood, then committed an act so depraved it defies comprehension. He'd buried her body while their young son watched, traumatizing the child forever. On January 18, 2018, Fahad Muhammad Saad pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, kidnapping, and burglary. He received 25 years in prison, followed by deportation to Iraq, the same country he and Roa had once fled together seeking safety. Amamar Sami received 18 months for his role in covering up the crime and obstructing the investigation. His lies had cost precious time that might have saved a life. Roa Al Danoon had survived war, built a new life in America, and fought fiercely for her independence as a single mother. She'd obtained protection orders, won custody of her son, and tried desperately to escape an abusive marriage. But the very system meant to protect her failed when it mattered most. Her story illuminates the deadly reality facing immigrant women trapped in abusive relationships, isolated by language barriers, cultural stigma, and fear of authorities. For Roa, the most dangerous time wasn't during her marriage, but after she'd found the courage to leave. In the end, It was the past she'd tried so hard to escape that came back to destroy her future.